I think when you get to a certain level, just like I brought up with the Mexican narco kingpins, they don't consider that ratting. And I think it is, but I think there's a delusion that you get when you're that powerful for that long that you're like, oh, no, I'm at a different level to where this is just chess.
So that said, I think he felt as that he was part of the FBI, like an agent himself, if you will, in that sense, psychologically. But you kind of
are.
When he got indicted, before he got indicted, when we got indicted, I did with the 51 people. It was in the paper that Monday. We got arrested on a Friday. We were in for the weekend, and then the Boston Herald front page was Whitey's a canary because he didn't get indicted with everybody, right? But hold on. I had already known what they was going to say because Whitey told me. He said, they're going to bash me. They're going to say this or that about me. Only reason is because they can't get to me. They can't get to me. And the reason why they can't get to him is because of guys like you, Johnny. You won't give me up. You won't say anything. So what they'll do now is because they can't get to me, they'll try to disparage my reputation so somebody will flip. Which made sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which made sense. So that Monday in the paper, it come out he was a canary because he didn't get indicted with us. It was John Morris, the FBI agent, who was crooked because he was taking money from Whitey and Stevie in cases of bottle of wine and paying trips for him and his wife, vacationing. Mm. He was the one, he was so scared. He's the one who dropped the dime, hoping that somebody would have whacked Whitey. Killed him.
Yeah.
Then he would have been off the hook. Okay, it's all gone now,
Right.
Well, Whitey got wind that it was him. And he called him on the phone. And he says, listen, he said, I got all the goods on you. Don't be doing that ever again or be thinking that you're cute.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
He had evidence on
a
lot of feds.
Oh, yeah.
Holy.
Yep.
It's like his life after he became the boss.
Morris had to go out as a disgraced FBI agent along with John Connolly.
Yeah. Did Morris ever do any time?
No.
No.
Because he cooperated beforehand.
Right. It's like Whitey was preparing for that moment for decades. It's 100%. Like he was preparing since he became a boss in the 60s.
Now you have to realize not only was Whitey intelligent, but he came from an intelligent family. Highly intelligent family. Billy Bulger was a triple eagle. Boston High, Boston College, and Boston Law. He was a lawyer. Yeah. And he was good at it.
What do you think it was then? What was he could have been, he could have followed that same path. Why did he choose the streets? Was he a sociopath?
Sometimes I thought so. I could tell you that, as tough as a guy I was and stuff like that. When he used to fly off the handle, holy shit.
Yeah.
I thought I was bad when I fly off the handle.
Yeah.
He was that type of guy that, he took it to another level.
And the way he was able to just lie to the people he so-called cared about and... he was able
to think on his feet so quickly, and he had it down pat.
Yeah. Wow. So
it's like when I knew that all this investigation was going on, I said, hey, why don't I take a step back? Why don't I just take a step back and let the heat lie down a little bit here with the feds? We can always open up shop again, because if there's nothing to be had, then maybe it'll die. I didn't know how extensive they had or what they had.
Right.
But I figured, let's close shop for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Let them keep coming whatever they want, and there's nothing going on. And I said, and I'll go back to boxing. I'll go back fighting pro again and stuff, because I was training every day anyway. And that was my first love, right? And I had a lot of money to support myself to do that. I didn't have to rely on anybody or an 8-hour job that I'd have to bust my balls out and be tired to go train at the same time. So I said, I'll just go back to boxing for a while. And he says, oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, Red. I said, why? He said, because boxing is a dumb. That's exactly what he said to me. And at that time, I looked at him and I went, something doesn't add up. Even at such a young age, I knew something didn't add up. My antennas after that were like this. Did I know? Did I feel something? Absolutely. But I didn't like what he said to me. And I just said to myself, now I look back at it, hindsight's 2020, right? And I see all these parallels, all these things that I went through of different scenarios, this. Now I understand why he said and did these things.
Why did he want you to stay in the game?
Because he wanted me to take the fall.
Because he knew you weren't going to give him up.
He knew I wasn't going to give him up.
But if you guys got out of the game, there would be no fall to be had in the first place, right?
Exactly. But maybe he knew more. Maybe he knew the extent of the operation was too late.
Right.
Was too late.
Wow.
So he said, no, you got to go. I got to get this kid to go all the way now. That's why he talked to me like a father figure. I don't want to see you get beat up, and I don't want to see his brains get smashed in. And plus, he says to me, oh, and plus, you'll be on TV. Everybody will recognize you. You don't want to be on TV.
Yeah.
He used anything that he could at that time to make sure he can convince the young guy not to back away.
He manipulated everyone, lied to everyone.
Everyone.
Did he care about anyone? I guess his girlfriend who went on the run with him, but he needed her too, you know?
He manipulated everyone.
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone he didn't manipulate.
Yeah.
Other than his brother.
Billy. Why? Because Billy wouldn't have it.
He wouldn't have it, and he couldn't do that to his brother.
Yeah.
But he could do it to anyone else. Anyone.
I wonder, did Billy know where he was when he was on the run? Was there any evidence that those two had communications? Probably not, right? Because the feds are listening.
Exactly.
That would be the
first. But I
first.
would say this: somehow or some way, there was some type of open line of communication.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, okay. Walk us through how he met his demise. So as we kind of know from, if you paid attention to that story, his girlfriend was like yapping to a neighbor, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, but not only that, but they had pictures of her and they put it into, because she was a beautician, and they put her picture out there, sketch out there. And she went into the hair salon where they had possibly heard something, and somebody recognized her.
Wow.
And that's where it all began.
And they followed her back to the apartment.
They went and they looked and searched and everything and said, well, I think we got him.
And so they arrest him.
So when they arrested him, what they did is they called the manager, and they said to the manager, have this guy come out of there. Tell him that you need to see him. Have him come out of the house. Because they didn't want to go through the door if they didn't have to. So they called the manager. Man says, oh, there's a problem with the storage down here. He goes, really? Oh, all right, let me come down and see. Bang.
Yeah. What a run. And so he spends a couple of years fighting his case.
Fighting his case. They had me on the witness to go in and testify.
Yeah.
Now, I had never talked to anybody, never would.
Yeah.
But they did have me on there. So if they called me and I didn't cooperate, I could have got contempt of court, and I would have ended up going away again.
So were you prepared for that? Did you know?
So what I did, I went on CNN, all these interviews on CNN, and talked about I would never rat. I wouldn't do it ever, ever, ever. But let me just say one thing, because I'm good at poker. And I should have, played more poker in my day, maybe in the casino instead of doing what I did. But that's besides the point. I said to them on the interviews, I'd say, but if I made the choice to testify. I don't think it would be good for the government or Whitey Bulger's team either. I said that.
Wow.
Because it was a poker play
Yeah.
on national television.
Was that a bluff?
It was. And I'm so glad that's like saying,
It worked.
put
though.
all the chips in.
Yeah.
Here's my hand, and meanwhile, you got the winning hand. I have nothing.
Yeah.
And so I call my attorney, Tony Cardinelli. I says, Tony, I hear him on the witness list. And mind you, I'm working construction at this time. Down on the waterfront, and I used to watch Whitey be escorted in the morning to go to the courthouse as I'm on the construction site.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you not.
Whitey in the flesh.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
So that said, I called my attorney, Tony Cardinelli, and I says, hey, Tony, I hear my name is on the list. He said, hold on. He calls the head guy, prosecutor. He said, you don't need Johnny. You got enough guys. You got enough people. You don't need him. And by the way, you don't know what Johnny's going to say. Johnny's he's his own guy. He's like a maverick. You don't know what he's going to say. He could throw a wrench into your wheels. You have your guys that know and will say what you want already. And they said, you're right, Tony. So I was never called to testify. But that's when Billy Shea came in and testified and talked about the recruitment of Red Shea, of myself, and what I had and how they recruited me, and and all that, and how I was a maverick and had I had the balls to do these things on my own, and
was Billy Shea in prison at the time, or had he gotten out?
No, he was down in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did he ever get locked up?
He never got locked up.
Wow, because he talked right away, right?
He never talked because he was never indicted on that particular case.
Wow, it's because Whitey ran him out of the business. He dodged all that. Crazy. So obviously, Whitey is done. There's just decades of evidence and tons of witnesses that had him on murders, obviously racketeering, drug trafficking.
Everything. It all come out in the end. It all come out in the end. It usually does.
They dug up like corpses.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Insane. Like under like the Dorchester Bay or something.
Yeah. No, what happened was when the water went out, low tide, they dug and then dropped the body and left. And those bodies are there for years, it's a pretty intelligent thing to do. I mean, if you think about it, right? Yeah. Who's ever going to look for a body there? And then they were on the side of the highway, and one of the guys, his name was Tommy King, and he knew he was there. It was kind of like Whitey didn't like him. It was kind of like a rival from Southie, and he'd ride by on the highway coming from his house or wherever, and he'd wave and he'd say, hello, hey, say hello to Tommy. He'd make a joke about it. Say hello to Tommy as he was driving by.
Because that's where they buried Tommy.
That's where they buried Tommy.
Yeah. And it's so crazy that Whitey was a millionaire boss and still doing murders himself. That is very Irish. You wouldn't see the Italians doing that. They get pedicures and manicures and shit. The Irish you guys are DIY. Wow. So he's done. Did they ever get a chance to sentence him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He got sentenced. He got sentenced for all the bodies, and then 18 of them anyway. And
18 bodies.
Yeah. And when he went
were those
away,
mostly were those innocents, or like what I never liked about Whitey? I don't like murder, period. But what I never liked about Whitey was that I knew he killed a lot of innocent people. Whereas I don't think the Italian mafia did as much of that. Do you know about those 18 bodies? Like, was that mostly civilians, or was that mostly?
No, there were guys from the neighborhood
gangsters
that were involved, and they were solid guys that he killed. Right. Guys that would never rat, just like me.
Right.
Those guys he killed that would never rat. And that's that in the end, that's a real dagger, you know, because you know that those guys, they did time before, like himself, but they would never rat.
Yeah. Wow. What a psycho. So, anyways, what goes around comes around, because then he's at where, USP Atlanta? Where did it go down?
The murder?
His murder.
Hazleton. It's in like West Virginia, I believe. And
that's a rough joint.
And he was in Florida prior to that. And why I say I believe he caused his own demise, because he wanted it, because he hated being called a rat.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he caused so much trouble in Florida at that penitentiary. I believe it was Coleman. And he had an art teacher down there who was trying to do paintings and stuff like that. And he had another kid that he was, whatever, that was down there. And I'm saying to myself, these guys know that he's a rat, but yet they're still associating themselves with him. How come? Well, maybe he was sending them money. Yes, absolutely. But also, it was only a matter of time, because he caused so much trouble and he didn't like being called a rat, that they would stick him in the hole a lot. Mm. And when he was in the hole, I guess a female guard came by, and what he'd do is he'd in front of the female guard just to cause problem for her. You know, it's like, hey, you. Mm. Now, I get that mentality if you're a stand-up guy. I do. So he caused so much problem, they said, okay, we're going to ship him out. They gave him what he wanted. Wasn't long before he got to where he was. Wasn't long that they went in there and executed him.
Was it his cellmate?
No. No, it was guys in that prison, and it was within hours.
Right. He got there. He was on the main line, which is crazy.
And now, mind you, this one guy that took all the heat, he's a guy who would never rat. Never rat. He's doing life, double life. Mm. And as soon as he seen Whitey Bulger, there was an opportunity. He didn't care. I'm doing double life. What's it mean to me? Yeah. He took the full brunt of it too, the heat for it.
All right, because there was multiple people involved, I think.
3 of them that they indicted.
And he's the only one that went down.
He was already They did get indicted. They get one kid's out, but supposedly he was the lookout. But no, he took the full brunt of everything.
Wow. So
he didn't care.
Right.
Because he's doing double life anyway.
Yeah. I'm surprised it took him that long to get killed, you know, especially if he's on the main line. He's that infamous.
And mind you, he was frail at the time. Mm. He was in a wheelchair.
Wow.
From what the reports say, they dug his eyes out and tried to cut his tongue out too.
Yeah, I don't even think they stabbed him. They like beat him
with a lock and a sock.
Yeah, stabbing would have been too easy, huh?
He went out a rat.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And when I talk about my dream and that how I wanted to, you know, I snap his neck. Now people comment, well, he's there. That one guy already got him red.
Did you feel some kind of closure when you found out about it?
I thought at the time, I said to myself, how in the world did the feds, knowing he's a mob boss of that size, Irish mob boss that was a rat, big rat,
right?
How did they even put him into that type of situation?
Interesting, isn't it?
Knowing that these guys that they're putting him in with are solid guys that accepted their responsibility, that are doing life, that gave their life to this. How did they put him and why?
Well, because they're corrupt and they're vindictive. He was causing all those problems at Coleman. He was jerking off in front of female guards, talking. Nobody liked him to begin with because he is a rat bastard and he's got bad paperwork. He's not supposed to be walking the main line, period. So I think somebody with power said, you know what? There's some pipe hitters at Hazleton. Ship them over there.
Give him what he wants.
Exactly. And kind of what everybody wanted, you know? Like, I have literally zero affiliation with any of it. I just grew up knowing about this guy and studying him. And when he got his, I was like, good. There's some justice.
Oh, 100%.